Lawrence joining us virtually. Lawrence, can you hear me okay? There we go. I'm going to take that as a positive ding. And Mr. Lifto, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. And that was my next question because you are our presenter this evening.
We have some other people joining us, I think, on
Do-
Mike Reuter is one of them.
Is he? I only see the three. There's Lawrence, kinda.
Okay, let me check with.
We're gonna work out our technical
Let's just take- can we just
difficulties
take a
for a
couple
moment.
minutes here? I wanna make sure we have
Absolutely.
one. Okay,
Okay.
okay. And I thought we had one other board member
Where's
texting her
Anna?
right now just to see.
She's probably on the road. Oh, is he in the wrong meeting?
Mr. Reuters in the wrong meeting? Okay, thank you. You're fine, take your time.
Just give us one moment, please. Appreciate your patience.
Okay, so we're also having trouble with Jeff Daler and Dave. Okay, thank you. I was gonna say they wanted to be on too. I'll
Okay.
let them know. Jeff Daler and, yep, and Dave. Okay, I'm getting from you. Let's see what she says and then we'll,
Okay.
she may need to, maybe this one isn't for me. Okay, we're good then.
Let me know when everybody's on. David, do you want to scooch down this way tonight, or are you good? Out in Siberia, all there by yourself? Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right, I see Jeff. Do we
There
have
we
Mike
go.
on yet? Mike Reuter?
Looking for one more expert.
Yes. Let me just check in with him and see if he's having trouble getting in. Okay, thank you. You want to go ahead and do that? I will. Thank you.
What's that?
Sure you will. Randy, be glad you're not joining us online. We're having technical difficulties, so. We may have alleviated stress for you today.
Nah.
He's texting right now. Sorry about this. We'll be ready in a second. I am. It says I'm waiting. We have a quorum. He says it says it's waiting on the host. So do you think it's the wrong one?
Yeah, he probably might be in the wrong, I just sent it to him again.
Okay. That's it.
He's invited.
Okay. She just sent you another link.
Guy in the brown shirt, what's his name?
Don Lifto.
Lifton.
And then Jeff Taylor. Oh, that looks like good news.
He's on now. All right, we're good. I think we've got everybody present, Mrs. Austin. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. And we have not lost Lawrence. He's still in there somewhere, even though he's not appearing on the screen, correct?
Lawrence left.
Lawrence left.
Well, maybe not. Yeah, no, Lawrence left.
Okay,
so
we'll send him a quick
Someone wanna
text.
touch base?
Let's see what he says.
He's having technical difficulties.
And I think UA is also trying to get on and is having,
Rachel just said that she's heading her way.
goodness gracious, this is,
I'm reliving the pandemic all over again.
it is. Huh. Well, since we're being recorded, shall we go ahead and get started and we'll move on?
We can move.
Yes, since we're not taking any action and since it was kind of an emergency situation, we can go ahead and keep going. Okay, so tonight we have Don Lifto and Jeff Daler and Mike Reuter here to talk with us about the survey results from the recent survey and to let us know what you've learned, and we're very excited to hear from you. So please take it away, gentlemen.
Was that Don Lifto that was supposed to?
Yes, please, go right
started.
ahead. I love Zoom. It's my favorite.
I haven't used Google Meet before. Do I open my PowerPoint first, or do I click on the share the screen button
I think
first?
open your PowerPoint first, make sure your notifications are turned off, so they don't pop up for you, and then hit share screen.
You should also be able to specify which window gets shared.
Why is everything?
It's our fault for having this at 5 instead of 6.
Yeah, well, we are only good at this on Mondays, apparently. The rest of the week is cursed. How's it going, Mr. Lifto? You got it?
Eric, we've got another one, Dave, that's trying to get in. Yes, and needs let in by the host. If not, Roberta, you need to send Dave.
DavidDalerPR.com.
Yes,
Correct.
David Daler PR.
He's already invited. He shouldn't have to.
Okay, so
He's trying to join the wrong one.
yep, I think so. So Roberta, send Dave the link again, and I will let Jeff know to let Dave know to look at email.
Can you see my screen yet?
Yes, and yeah, now you just have to present and you should be good.
Okay, Lawrence is back. There we go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Lawrence.
Yeah, but it sounds like he's at dinner.
I've got everybody
Can you hear
upside
me?
down
Yep.
at the moment.
We've got you. Okay, we got the screen shared?
Is it working on your end?
Don, it just disappeared. You're gonna have to reshare.
Where? Oh, huh.
Well, he still wants to walk through it.
Oh, that's not him.
Yeah, that's us.
Okay.
Lawrence, yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Good.
Where are we going? Yeah.
I'm seeing the screen from my computer.
Well, we've got the presentation pulled up here, so if you want to just say next slide when you're ready to step forward, we can go ahead and proceed. We've got the, our copy. It says West Lafayette Community School
So you want me
Corporation.
to go ahead and start presenting?
Sure.
But make sure it's the right one, because there's multiple.
Oh, this one's the 2026 Community Survey Summary of Results, and it's got books on the right and has the Morris Leatherman Company at the bottom. Is that what we should be looking at? Okay. Can you see it behind us on this, on the screen here? Is that the right one?
Don, do you know how to share your screen? It would be really helpful if you just shared your screen with us.
What's that say?
I did that, and on my computer, it's upside down, and on my screen, it's right side up.
Huh.
How about this? Why don't I share my screen and you tell me when to advance the slide?
Okay?
That's all right.
All right. Can
There
you
we
all-
go. That looks great.
Don, take it away.
I'm not seeing anything.
Can you see us?
I can't see any, I don't see anybody, and I don't see your screen.
Yeah, in the toolbar, see if you can find the meeting that would be titled meet.google.com in your bottom toolbar.
Or maybe Alt-Tab through what you have open to come back to it?
Hey, Dave is here too.
Are you folks seeing the PowerPoint?
Yes, we have the PowerPoint up and we can see you as well, so.
Well, I cannot see you.
Yeah, you need to figure out how to get your Google on, like you are at a typical Google Meet, and you should be able to see when Jeff Daler shares his screen, you should be able to see the screen that he's
Yeah.
presenting if you're a member of our
Yeah,
meeting.
Don, you're hidden the window, so you're just gonna have to refine the window. And that's-
I can always see his stomach, but that's all we see. For you, all we see is your stomach.
Is he on his phone or is he standing?
Is it gonna work if I just move ahead and present
Yep.
the results?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can advance the slides here and Jeff has them as well, so.
Someone interrupt me then if you want me to slow down, stop, or if you have a question. I'm on the first slide, West Lafayette Community School Corporation, 2026 Community Survey Summary of Results.
Yep,
The survey outline in the intro, for this particular survey project, we interviewed 400 registered voters living within the boundaries of the school corporation. As you can see, they were done in mid-May. The length of the survey was 33 questions. Most of our surveys are between 30 and 40 questions, so this was in that range. And the average interview length was 10 minutes. We try to stay under 15 minutes for phone interviews. So again, you were right in the range where you want to be. And the margin of error is plus or minus 4.8%. It's been a while since your last statistics class. What that means is if you see a slide that says 50% of the people think the sky is blue, if you add 4.8% to that and subtract 4.8%, there's a 95% chance that what you see on the screen represents what all registered voters think, even though our sample was with 400. To put that in some context for you, if you heard about a survey on the TV or on a radio, and the survey did random sample interviewing with people across the whole United States, 300 million. The average number that they do for those surveys is between 1,200 and 1,500. So 400 to your school corporation is a very solid sample. The interview process included demographic targets, and the next slide that you're going to see after this one will show you the targets that were controlled. What that means is that before we started, we purchased a database that told us how many women there were and how many men and how many young people and how many older people, etc. And the random sample interviews were set up such that we controlled for age, gender, parent status, and voting history. On the voting history, what we look at is out of the last 10 times that people within the school corporation had a chance to vote on something. It could be city, could be county, could be a referendum, it could be a national election. So out of the last 10 times they had a chance to vote, how many times did they actually vote? And based on that history, we put people in one of three groupings: infrequent voters, people who get there about half the time, and people who almost always get there. We did track cell phones and home ownership, but they were not demographic targets. Next slide. The main body of the survey was split into two sections, consistent with a survey that I did for you in 2023. That one, the sampling was done in late August into early September of 2023. The first section measured opinions about the school corporation, its performance. The second section asked about a potential renewal of the school corporation's referendum funding, including impacts of funding on schools and programs. Additional questions asked how they received information regarding the school corporation. Next slide. We began early in the survey with a Phi Delta Kappa Gallup question that's been asked close to 60 years. Students are often given the grades of A, B, C, D, F to denote the quality of their work. Suppose the public schools themselves in your community were graded in the same way. What grade would you give to the public schools in West Lafayette? Next slide. Here's the results of that question. As you can see, 87% of respondents gave the school corporation a grade of A or B. This is significantly better than what we typically see in surveys. And remember that less than 20% of the 400 respondents were current parents of school-aged kids. So it's a very, very good grade. Less than 2% gave Ds, and there were no F grades at all. Next slide. Now, having looked at that very positive response, what we're doing in the next slide is giving you two comparisons. One for the Phi Delta Kappa Gallup survey that was last conducted in 2025. It's a national survey. And then we also were able to compare the results to the same question that was used in your 2023 survey. Next slide. So here you're seeing in blue the most recent survey in West Lafayette, and the orange how people responded in 2023, and then in the kind of light green how people responded to the exact same question in the Phi Delta Kappa survey that was a national survey. As you can see, the grades for 2026 were very similar to the grades that you saw in 2023, with just slightly more Bs and slightly fewer Cs. Much better than the national survey. And when you make that comparison to the national survey, be aware that it was the exact same question. So people who were interviewed in the national survey were not giving a grade to the nation's schools. They were giving a grade to their local public schools. Next slide. Respondents were asked for what was the basis of the grade they gave to the school corporation. And in the phone survey, there were 6 options that were offered, and people chose the one that they thought best represented their opinion. So as you can see, in the blue was the largest percentage at 30%, based on their children's experience. Friends and neighbors is the orange. Local news media is kind of the greenish, and personal experience in the gold. Next slide. After the overall grade was given, participants were asked to grade the school corporation's financial management. This also was a very positive response. When we use both of these questions in a school survey, the percent that give A's and B's for financial management is never as high as the overall quality, but 76% is higher than what we normally see in most of the surveys we've done over the years. Next slide. Here with the financial management, again, we can compare it to 2023 because we use the exact same question in that survey. So if you can see that the A's were almost identical. The most recent survey had more B's and fewer C's. Next slide. The community perceptions of the school corporation were a series of prompts where people reacted to situational characteristics, asking them how they felt about each of these characteristics. Statements covered how well the school corporation serves its students, trust in the staff and trustees, and the role in the community. And respondents were asked for their level of agreement with the statement. So this is what these look like. On your screen, the statements are condensed from the actual statement in the survey, and they're presented from top to bottom in the order of which one had the highest percentage of strongly agree, which is blue, and agree, which is orange. The 93% that you see at the top is adding together the blue section, strongly agree, and the agree section, which is the orange. So as you can see, with all of these characteristics or perceptions referenced, the agreement levels were very, very high. These are the last 5 similar types of statements. And again, people were asked whether they agreed or disagreed with each of these characteristics. Again, presented in order from strongest agreement to relatively lowest agreement. I say relatively because the one that had the lowest level of agreement is still at 79%, which is very good. Next slide. The next section of the survey was focusing on the referendum funding and issues related to projected school revenue related to the impact of Senate Enrolled Act 1. Participants were asked to react to statements about those potential impacts. 9 items were presented. They were done in random order to minimize the bias due to whether something was asked first or last. So this is what people heard. I'm going to read you some statements about how referendum funding impacts the school corporation. For each one, they're asked to tell us whether the information would make them much more likely, somewhat more likely, somewhat less likely, or much less likely to support the additional referendum funding, offsetting that Senate Enrolled Act 1 cuts. Same type of style in terms of what's presented. Question 23, maintain programs to help students struggling with core academics, had the highest percentage of people who said, if I knew that that was going to be part of the scene, it would make me much more likely or somewhat more likely. Similar to the other slides, it looked like this, that 90% is adding together the blue and the orange. So that's the percentage of people who said they would be much more likely or somewhat more likely. The 7% on that top bar is adding together the somewhat less and much less. So a good response to these. And these are the last 5 of the similar questions. As you can see, ranging from 84%, much more likely or somewhat more likely. Remember what the question is, would knowing this make you more likely or less likely to support a referendum to offset the cuts that we referenced earlier? Again, relatively speaking, the question 25 was somewhat lower, but keep in mind, you're still talking about more than 7 out of 10 people in the positive territory in terms of how they responded. The informed support gives somewhat of a summary of what they've heard so far. In November of this year, registered voters living within the school corporation will have an opportunity to vote on a proposed increase in its referendum funding. Tells them what this increase revenue would do in terms of offsetting the Senate Enrolled Act 1 cuts. The third part of this statement, interestingly, was the first time that I've done a survey where we told them that the taxes might stay the same, they might go down, or they might go up. Interestingly, even though that doesn't tell them very much, the overall support, as you'll see on the next slide, was quite good. So that last statement, now that you've heard more about it, that referendum funding would increase for 8 years. Would you favor or oppose? You can see on the next slide, 76% was favorable, and the balance split between opposition and no opinion. Again, this is higher than what we typically see, and you see at the bottom there's a reference to informed support from the 2023 survey, which was very, very close to the informed support for the one we just did. Next slide. This next section is giving you a little bit of a snapshot, looking at the level of support based on demographic groups. You can see the 7 that were referenced here. Remember from earlier in my presentation, some of these were controlled. In other words, the parent status, if 16% of registered voters were parents, then about 16% of the calls were done with parents. Some of these were, of the 7 were not controlled in that manner. The charts show what the level of support was after people heard information about each proposal. Next slide. So this is the parent status. On the left in the blue, 80.9% parents. And the definition of a parent is someone who has 1 or more children in West Lafayette School District attending one of your schools right now. So those are your active current parents. If we jump over to the right to the green, these are people who told us that I don't have any kids in the school corporation now, but I used to have kids in the school corporation. And in the middle are people who said they've never had a child in the school corporation. Not surprisingly, I can't remember if there was ever a survey done where parent support wasn't the highest. What's a little unusual with your results is the non-parent and the alumni parent are a little higher than we normally would see, which is obviously a good thing. On the left here, we're seeing support based on gender. 90% of the time, females are more supportive than males. That was true in your 2023 survey as well. On the right, you're seeing support based on age. One of the things that's fairly common, and yours came through in this manner as well. Usually support from 65 plus is a little higher than the 55 to 64. And experts who have studied that and evaluated that over time comment on the fact that oftentimes it's that 55 to 64 where people are in pre-retirement mode and a little more worried about finances and taxes and those types of things. Next slide. On the left, you're seeing support based on past voting activity. This is the reference I made earlier talking about we purchased a database that showed how many times registered voters voted out of the last 10 times where they could have voted. The less active and new are people who voted 0 to 2 times out of the last 10. Remembering that that's a combination of voters who, for whatever reason, don't vote very often, and 18-year-olds who only had perhaps one chance to vote out of the last 10. The active group is 3 to 5 out of the last 10, and the very active is 6 or more. So I would put this one in a kind of a good news category also, in that the people most likely to vote also were the most supportive. On the right, we've got homeowners versus renters. This one shifted a little bit from 2023. In 2023, the renter was at 87% support, and the homeowner was at 74. I don't know, it's 3 years difference, and we talked to different people this time, so you can never know for sure why that is. But I can tell you, generally speaking, you want as many renters to vote as possible because they don't pay property taxes, and usually if you can get them in the door, more likely to vote yes. Next slide. On the left, you're seeing support based on household income, and on the right, you're seeing support based on educational attainment. In most of the school surveys that I do, the level of support for higher levels of schooling usually is the case. The note at the bottom of that slide indicates that the database that we purchased provided us this information for about half of the surveys that we conducted on the telephone. Next slide, we're shifting now into communications. Similar to what we did in 2023, we're asking people where they got information about the school corporation, where they got most of their information. The first question was in broad terms, where people told us either printed materials, word of mouth, online, or social media. And then once that was done, and for each of those 4 groups, there was more focused questions to get more information for your communication efforts. So here's that first question, primary source, printed sources, in blue as we go around clockwise, word of mouth, online, and social media. Now, for people who said on this last slide, printed sources, there was a follow-up question only to those people, basically saying what printed sources. And as you can see, the Journal and Courier were the big one, and notes sent from home to home from a child was the second most. For those people who told us, I get most of my information from word of mouth, which was 130 of the people we interviewed. We asked people essentially, whose mouth are you getting that from? Friends and neighbors overwhelmingly, along with teachers and staff. For those people who said, I get my information from online sources, the follow-up question was, what online sources? This one I would also characterize as good news, because almost 2/3 are saying, I get it from the district's website. And of course, that's what you put on your website is largely within your control. For those who said social media was number one, here's the social media platforms that were used by the respondents. So this last section goes through the material that I've presented and provide you with some summary statements. Informed support was 75.8%. Now, informed support means people got information about what was being considered before we took their temperature. We're very close to the informed support in 2023. In that section of the survey, people who responded positively was in the 73 to 90% range. Negative impacts in the 7 to 16% range. These are very strong. Greatest positive impacts were from helping students struggling with core academics and maintaining competitive compensation. Relatively smaller positive impacts from maintaining class sizes and from comparisons of per student funding. Next slide. Highest support for renewal came from voters who were 45 to 54 and households with annual income from 75 to 100. Lowest support comparatively from 55 to 64-year-olds and those who did not attend college. In that Phi Delta Kappa grade, the school corporation question, 87% gave an A or a B, very close to the percentage from 2023. And as I mentioned earlier, grades were much better than the national benchmark. Also, very strong positive responses grading the financial management of the school corporation. And then you have your comparison to the identical question at the bottom from the 2023 survey. With the statements that we asked people to react to in terms of agreement, agreement ranged between 79 and 93, disagreement 4 to 13%. Highest level of agreement expressed student safety and good value for investments in schools. A belief that the school corporation does a good job involving the community, lower than the other topics, but still at 79%, which is very strong. No single category dominated in terms of primary sources of information. 33% rely on word of mouth. District has limited control over the accuracy and content of face-to-face and social media communications, meaning that it's good when people are coming to the district for that information and in that form. And that is it for the overall summary. And I'll stop there and see what questions you have. No, those were based on the profile of registered voters living within the school corporation. And the ones that were controlled for targeting were all very, very close, within 5%. And as noted earlier in the survey, the mathematician that prepares your data does make corrections to the extent that, if we wanted to be at 19% of a particular group and we were at 23%, there's a mathematical process that brings that back to what we had targeted. But your targets, as you looked at the end of the survey, were very good.
So could you go back to the pie chart that talks about primary sources of information that families use? Because I believe it was the first, the largest was the website, and the second was Notes Home with Students, and neither of those are going to be options for referendums. So I'm a little bit curious about what other options are, because that is not necessarily good news for us.
That's page 31.
Yeah. I think it's back one more, yeah. Yeah.
I'm having a little difficulty knowing if you're commenting or asking me a question.
Well, I'm just trying to understand what the other options are if we eliminate those two primary. So website was a big one, or it was, I think it was where, I don't have it up on my device, but.
Page 30 was also, well, then it was 25% printed sources.
There we go.
33% word of mouth, 18% online, and 24%
One thing first to remember, it's a great question, Rachel, and I have a feeling Jeff will tell you he's taking notes. Jeff Taylor's gonna be presenting to us after the board
Okay.
makes a decision at our June 8th meeting on whether or not we're moving forward. He and his team, they're present right now, and they're gonna be taking notes right now.
Mhm.
Speak and bring up your points and concerns. And then they're gonna be presenting kind of a communication plan, and they'll certainly be taking questions and advice from our board.
Yeah.
That'll have great suggestions to consider as they develop our communication plan. So I appreciate the question.
That's great, thank you. That's, as long as it's addressed, I'm good.
So, this is David, to add in, when we're talking about the primary sources of information and the breakdowns of each type, we're only talking about basically a quarter of the population, the one who selected that their primary source is is online, or the primary source is written. Like, of those people, this is where they get the majority. It doesn't mean that they don't get other news from other sources.
Yeah, I think. Only 2% of a quarter of the respondents are influenced by those who
Right.
focus more on the.
that's not what this says.
That's not what
Right?
this says?
This is saying that that's where they get their primary source
Yeah.
of information. It doesn't mean that these other things aren't a source of information about the schools. And so, I mean, this is a good baseline for understanding where people get their primary source, but they get it from other places as well.
Yeah.
I agree with David. I think it's important for us to have that dialogue with Mr. Daler and Dave, and I agree that mailer can be very important and has been in the past, so. But it's good to bring these things up when he's presenting, for sure.
Can we add for the benefit of Daler here that I would be interested to know, I mean, I believe one thing that was very successful in our last referendum was our teachers walking. And so I would like to kind of understand how that would play in his estimation of a plan, a strategic plan.
What other questions do we have?
I have a list. Is that okay?
Go for it.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yes.
So, just first basic question, what was your overall response rate?
In terms of how many people
Actually,
agreed to
Yeah, agree, how many agreed?
participate when they got on the phone, the refusal rate was around 10%, which is
Oh, wow.
very, very good.
It's usually the other way around on these types of
And
surveys.
people are more likely to be willing to talk to you if you're calling about the local public schools as compared to other topics. So anytime we're, around that 10% or less, we're very happy.
Okay, my next question, you compared the percent in favor between this current survey and the 2023 survey. Can you, I don't have the data for the 2023 survey, but are we pretty similar with the no's and the undecideds? Or are there more solidified no's now or back then? Do you have those percentages? They weren't in here.
Some of the slides had comparative data to 2023
Right.
when the same question was asked in 2023. The general response to that question is the two surveys were very similar, and there was nothing that jumped off the page as a critical concern now as compared to what we saw in 2023.
Okay, I think it would be helpful if we can dig that out somewhere, just so we know if there's more solidified, or if there are more undecideds, how that breaks down compared to last time, because that might indicate that we do need more effort in certain areas. The next question that I had was, across the perceptions questions that you asked, was it largely the same people who responded less likely to all the questions, or were there people who responded less likely to certain questions but not others? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, was it basically the same people who are unlikely, nothing is going to sway them, or they're different people who different messages might be beneficial for?
Yeah. It might help for me to give you a broader context for this. I think I have personally been involved in close to 500 surveys of this nature over the years. And the typical or normal percentage of people who are going to be negative and saying I'm going to vote no and I don't support a tax increase, typically that percentage is somewhere in the 15 to 20% range. So 15 to 20% negative or no is normal. And as you can see from the data from this survey and also true of the 2023 survey, you were significantly better than that. I don't have specific information on who were the 12% that were negative on a particular question compared to who were the 14% who were negative on some other question. But given the level of support after information, in the mid to upper 70s, you're definitely in a better position than the norm.
Okay, I think that's it with mine.
That's everything? Okay. Lawrence, I see your hand.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys have finished the question. I have some question, but did you guys finish?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I have two questions for Dan. First one, but first of all, thank you for the surveys. I go through the survey and analysis. Data is quite decent, rigorous analysis. I really appreciate. Thank you for that. And the first question is regarding the margin for error. So my understanding that's 4.8% or something like that. So how to interpret that kind of margin for errors in plain English?
You want it in plain English.
Because normally I need to explain that to some other constituents, and not everybody get a very, high education in statistics. So, so I have to have some easily plain English to explain to them.
Well, let me give it a try on that.
Okay.
The only way to have a zero margin of error is if you interview all registered voters. And obviously that's not going to happen. And so the margin of error changes based on how many people are interviewed. So if we had done 500 random sample interviews, the margin of error would have been a little lower than 4.8. If we had done 300, it would be a little higher than 4.8. But again, the way to interpret that is if you ask people if they would support a tax increase to offset the legislative cuts, and 50% of the people said, yes, I will. That 50% is the 50% of the 400 that we talked to. But if you add 4.8% to that and subtract 4.8, you end up with a range. And there's a 95% chance that the opinions of all registered voters are in that range. Does that help?
Yeah, that's help. So back to our say 75.8 so-called informed support. So basically, if you minus plus that, will be something like 71 to around 80 percent so-called informed support. So is that correct interpretations of that number?
Yep. Yes. So if you had 75% support for your proposal after people got information, if you add 4.8 to that, it puts you at 79.9. If you subtract 4.8, that gives you your range. And as I said, you know what the 400 people said, but there's a 95% chance that the opinions of all registered voters fall in that range.
Okay, thank you. I think that's pretty good explanation. Thank you, appreciate. And another thing I'm trying to question is regarding our survey. I don't think we have mentioned specifically the rate we are going to use. We just say we are going to increase the tax. But in case back down to the, say, let's say we decide to move on to put that question on November's election, and we have some numbers, specific numbers on that. Do you think what kind of impact of that kind of specific numbers on the final result?
I don't know if I fully heard and understood your question. Can you try it again?
Yeah, so my understanding is in our survey, we didn't mention about the specific numbers, how much we are going to increase the referendum. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we will end up with some specific numbers on the November election ballot. And I'm wondering, once we have that specific number on that, do you think there will be some significant impact on our final result, the election result?
I don't know if my comment is going to respond well to your question, so you need to tell me. But I think that the biggest challenge for the school corporation is what I referenced as I went through the materials, where people were told that your taxes might go down, they might stay the same, they might go up. And you're obviously going to get a different response from people based on which category they fall into. So I'm hoping that in the process of doing the work that Jeff Naylor will help you with, and getting more information, so that people know what the answer is before they cast their ballot for their particular circumstance.
Okay, thank you. I think you answered my question. Thank you, appreciate it. That's all from me. Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, Lawrence. Do you have anything?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I see in the survey results that you were able to capture whether or not people were renters or homeowners. Do you have any information about whether or not any of the respondents are landlords or own multiple properties?
Have multiple properties, did you say?
Yeah.
I do not.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. I think all of our questions have been answered. Do you have anything?
I do not.
No? Oh, I'm sorry, David. Hi.
Based on that, are you able to break down at all in terms of renters who are in what would probably be considered more longer-term rentals than campus area rentals that may be students going in and out? Because that might be helpful in terms of whether to target information in one direction or another.
No, I do not. If that's something that you feel you need to know, there may be some opportunities to get more information. But the database that we purchased to access that information just simply told us if they rent or if they own.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I might also mention, as we sound like we're getting close to winding down, that I provided the administration with 3 survey reports, the one that I just did. There's another one that goes into much more detail. So for every question, we can look and see what did 18 to 24-year-olds say, what did women say, what did males say. So much more detail. And then there was also 2 open-ended questions. And you have a summary of the responses from that as well. And so what I went through today It's kind of the big picture, overall summary, to give you an idea of where you're at, preparing for that decision that you'll make for this fall.
Okay.
And I'll just say that all of that information is in the board packet, so if you would like to delve deeper, that's all there for you. Everything he gave us, we made sure you guys had to.
Alrighty. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know a ton of work goes into that sort of report, so thank you. Are there any questions from any of our other referendum experts who are joining us that, while we're all together here, you would like to discuss, or?
If I may, I have a quick question.
Of course.
Don, to that point about renters, you are using a registered voter database. So therefore, the registered voters, if you're a student at Perkins University, for instance, your home address may still be you are registered to vote. So therefore, you may not be contacting students that would be whose home address is not at school. Correct?
I'm having some difficulty understanding you.
I think I caught it. What he was asking was if the survey included students at Purdue, they may be registered to vote elsewhere, but I think the first or second question of the survey itself was, are you registered to vote at the address you're answering from, or something along those lines, or in the West Lafayette School District, is that correct?
If you can get college students to register to vote for your fall election, and you can get them in the door, you're going to have a pretty good chance of getting a yes vote from those students. It's very, very difficult to organize them and motivate them and get them in the door, but they're definitely a net plus when you can, or to the extent that you can.
My question is related to certain though, and I guess that you're not reaching very many college students because they're not registered to vote in West Lafayette.
That's correct. The only people that we talked to were registered voters.
Yeah.
Also, college students don't answer the phone. I've got two. Is there anything else that the four of you would like to ask each other, or no? I did want to check one more thing. I'm looking through one of the other files, not the one you presented, and there were two questions about the greatest strength and the greatest challenge. I think those were the open-ended questions you referred to. Where would I find the results from those? Because it kind of skips from 16 to 19 on me, and I don't know where they live.
One of the three reports I provided to your administrative team included a summary of the results from those two open-ended questions.
Okay, so that's the one that I'm not able to download right now for no reason at all other than technical difficulties are the thing. Reload the whole page? Okay. Okay, let's try that. All righty.
The greatest challenge was nothing, by 118-ish people.
Oh, okay.
Funding by 90-ish, and high taxes by 40 or 50-ish.
Okay, great, thank you. I will locate that. Super. I really appreciate all of your time, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. Does anyone have anything else for the good of the order? No? All right. In that case, we'll adjourn. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Have a great evening. And
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We're adjourned.